here it's a little the food. I like the food actually. I like the herring and all the traditional meals, but I do miss the difference of flavors because it's a little bland, and I'm a South Texas girl, so I like spicy. Yes, so it's not, and there's not that many government holidays either. So it's not it's nothing like it is here. You have to really work for a long time with the company to gain 3 weeks, 4 weeks, up until, so you have to have a lot of tenure to get a real vacation. So it was a bit of a shock because it's so small here, and I come from Houston. So there's 7 million people in my hometown, and there's only five in Denmark. So it was a bit of a shock.
Hello, Summer. Uh, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Summer Yule Anderson. I come from Texas in the U.S., and I've lived here in Denmark for about 6 years.
Oh, nice. And let's just start like that. What brought you here to Denmark?
I met my husband in the U.S. He's Danish, so we had always had a plan to move here with the children eventually.
Okay, so before that, did you have any plan to move out of your country or?
I did actually. I've lived all over the world growing up, so I was always ready to transition to someplace new. It had been probably 30 years. I was in the States since I had moved last, so I was ready to experience something new.
And you decided to come to Denmark?
Yeah.
And how did it go from the time that you landed here in Denmark? So you landed probably in Copenhagen, right?
No, actually, I live down on the Southern Islands in on Lolland. So
Okay.
it was a bit of a shock because it's so small here, and I come from Houston. So there's 7 million people in my hometown, and there's only
Okay.
five in Denmark. So it was a bit of a shock. But I like it. It's nice and quiet, and everybody's friendly, and so there were some challenges, mainly with government paperwork. Just
Hmm.
anything that you normally typically get when you're settling into a new country. There was some challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've heard that everything here is like kind of like online kind of courses, so you don't need to do anything.
Yeah, there was a little bit of so to say legwork that I had to do. It was only the main issue I had. Everything was really smooth because it was all again digitalized. It's all online here, which is really
Mhm.
convenient. But I did have to take some travel to a different to Copenhagen and to Slagelse, which is a good drive away from where I live in Maribor. Just because they had gotten my name wrong on my
Ah,
upwards tilladelse. So
yeah.
because I had when we got married, I didn't change my name, and then my husband was
Hmm.
applying for U.S. Citizenship, and so I changed my name to match his, so it would make we thought it would make it easier. And then so my initial paperwork was in my maiden name, and then my new paperwork once we moved here was in my actual name. So
Ah, okay.
that made it a little difficult. They got my old name on the card, so it didn't match my passport or any of my other identification. So I had to do a little bit of jumping through some hoops to get
Okay.
get that corrected. But yeah, it worked out.
So was it the first challenge that you faced here in Denmark or?
It was the first challenge. Yeah, the
Okay.
next was the
And
language.
yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, that was my next question actually.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with that one?
It was a little bit challenging. I was familiar with the language because my husband's Danish, but we didn't. And I'd done a couple of Danish classes while we were in the United States. Um, but it's a very difficult language to learn, and I'm not. I don't necessarily have the language ear, so to speak. So it took me a little bit of time, and I was used to speaking in some Spanish from being from Texas, so it would always go into my head, and then I would think in Spanish, and then it would come out in Danish, and so it was a little challenging at the beginning. But Sprog School helped a lot. So
Hmm.
learning in the language school at first I thought, why do we have to learn all the grammar and trying to remember even my English grammar back from, university and high school and in elementary school and whatnot. But then I realized the importance of it. So yeah, and practicing the language was really what helped.
But do you feel comfortable right now with the language now?
I'm getting there. I can understand it
Okay.
clearly. I when I have a conversation, I can understand what they're saying to me, but speaking back is sometimes challenging. Trying to get my point across in the right way because in Texas we use a lot of slang, so I have to
Yeah.
remember to speak with less Americanized language when I translate it into Danish.
It's always like difficult to do this translation between your own language to the new one.
Right, because you don't use this. I mean, it's quite similar grammatically to English, so that I have an easy time with. But you don't say the same things. You don't use the same uh, sayings, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, okay. Then, if you want to mention like the biggest difference between Denmark and your homeland, your country, what is it?
Oh boy, because there's so many
Yeah,
languages.
it's
It's I feel like I just have settled in so well here. It was so easy to transition, even from such a huge city to such a small area. Um, I think the extrovert versus introvert. Americans are very extroverted, and Danes tend to be very introverted until once you get to know them, and then once you kind of get the foot in the door, so to speak, to meet Danish locals, it becomes a lot more open. So that was the challenge, and having traveled throughout my whole life, I had to become an extrovert to meet people. Otherwise, I would never have a network. So I had to find that limit so I wasn't too overt or too pushy um, personality wise with the Danes. So that
mm.
was probably the biggest learning experience, I should say.
So was it like you wanted to continue the conversation and they were like, no, 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 please?
Yeah, or if you run into someone in the shopping center and you're in the Netto or something and you want to say something in line to someone and then you're like, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't, and should I, or do they talk to me? Because everybody's very quiet, there's no conversation going on, and so that was the interesting thing that I learned coming here, and it was and I'm a little bit shy to begin with, so it wasn't that difficult, but when someone says something or doesn't say something, and I expect someone to say hi or thank you or something like this, it
Yeah.
was it was challenging, or a learning curve, I should say. Yeah.
Then what was it like the good things that you experienced here, like that you're missing over there back in the US, in the US?
So many. There's so many good things about Denmark. We always joke that it's the real free land. Everything is very open. There's a lot, especially with work. That was the most refreshing thing when I got a job here. Just I come from an oil and gas industry, so it's very male,
Mm.
patriarchal dominated. And here it's kind of a flat. There's not really a hierarchy, so to speak. There's a everybody is really equal. You can speak to your colleagues freely. So that was so refreshing to come into a workplace where everyone's opinion is valued, and I wasn't
Hmm.
used to that.
So, what about like the work-life balance? Is there any
Oh,
like a
that's
big
another thing
difference?
that's positive. That's really nice to have that work-life balance. First of all, in Houston, it takes 2 hours to get out of your neighborhood because of the traffic
Okay.
and the amount of people. So the commute
Yes,
alone.
7 million people you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. The commute alone is challenging. So let alone the actual work time, which is only 3 hours a week more, but you can really feel it living here. It's much more relaxed. The commute time here, especially on the islands where I live, I work 20 minutes away from my house, and yeah, it takes no time to get to work, and then I leave it. I go in at 7 or at 8, and then I leave at 3 or 4, and it's amazing.
Yeah, okay. One of the other things that most of the expats or immigrants they mention that it's a little bit different in the new place is about the food. What about you?
I
What do you
would
think about
honestly
that?
say, other than my family, that's the one thing I miss because the flavors of all that we in the U.S. We don't have like a national dish, so there's so many different flavors you can try. You can eat something new every day, and the dining out culture is a lot different. But then in here, it's a little the food. I like the food actually. I like the herring and all the traditional meals, but I do miss the difference of flavors because it's a little bland, and I'm South Texas girl, so I like spicy.
Yeah. And one of the other things that you mentioned right now is missing your family and your friends and all the connections that you built like before. What about that? What do you do about that?
It's so easy now with the internet. We have FaceTime calls like this all the time. My mom comes here to visit. We don't go back to the U.S. as frequently, just because of the political climate. But we do have them come here, or we meet them some other place in the world to have vacation, which is another thing that we enjoy now that we're here is actual vacation time. That's another really wonderful thing about Denmark is the with the work-life balance there is vacation.
Is there any like a big difference like about the vacations
Yeah,
compared to the US?
in the U.S. in Texas specifically, if you have there's not a typical contract that you make like we do here for employment. Um, it You get 2 weeks if you're lucky, and you have to earn those 2 weeks, and then after a couple of years,
For whole year?
yeah, for a whole year.
Oh God.
Yes, so it's not, and there's not that many government holidays either. So it's not it's nothing like it is here. You have to really work for a long time with the company to gain 3 weeks, 4 weeks, up until. So you have to have a lot of tenure to get a real vacation.
Ah, okay. So about the last question, uh, what kind of mindset or personality do you think that helps the most when moving to a new country?
Really, an open mind. Be willing to adjust your attitude with anything to compensate for anything you might be missing. Don't think about the things that you are missing. Think about the challenges or the exciting things that you could be learning, or you could experience the new experiences. That's the one thing I have to remember is I don't need to miss what I don't have. I need to look forward to what I'm getting.
Okay, that's a really nice point of view. Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. It was great.
It was a really nice interview.
Oh, thank you so much. This was nice.
Thank you.